I can't believe it's a year since John Hume passed away. John had a huge influence on my life and my politics, but somebody who had an immense impact on the life of this island. He ended the Anglo-Irish conflict that had raged for over 800 years. He gave us a platform to create a peaceful, reconciled society. His politics were rooted in the community, rooted in that desire to lift people out of poverty, to look after the marginalised. He was a leader, standing face to face with the men of violence, no matter where they came from, facing them down in the name of peace and a better future for our children.
My first memory of Dad's political career were the European elections of 1979, and I was about 6. And I remember having an unending supply of stickers and getting to ride in the speaker car with the Bogside branch and go out canvassing. And Phil Coulter had penned a tune, "He's your number one for Europe, vote John Hume." And I thought it was the coolest thing in the world to have stickers, great company, and to be able to go out in the speaker car every evening, or go out canvassing every evening as a very kind of eager 6-year-old.
I remember as a small child, we were living in Ardoyne in Brunton Park, and one day there was just huge excitement in the street. Everybody was running out to their doors, and I remember as a child wondering why all this was happening. And I remember seeing a man who was going up and down people's paths, shaking hands with them. And when I was asking who that was, people were saying it was John Hume. And I just remember thinking, who is this person? Why is there so much excitement and so much happiness at seeing him in our street?
The first time we met John Hume, my husband and I were walking towards Sainsbury's, and he just stopped me on the way. And I just said, "I'm from Kenya." And he said, what brought you here? So I explained what brought me here. And he said, "Well, this is now your home." And I didn't know who he was. It was just a man walking on the streets. And later on is when my husband told me, "Do you know who that was?" And I said, "No." And he said, "That's John Hume." And I said, "Who is John Hume?" And that's he started giving me the story.
When we were children growing up, when the civil rights movement developed in the North, became the big issue in the late 60s, I would have been 8 or 9 years of age, and then you move into the early 70s, John Hume was an ever-present on our screens, advocating for civil rights, advocating for reform, advocating for a peaceful, reconciled society. And those images of the late 60s and early 70s are indelibly imprinted on my mind and on our minds. And John Hume came to define that sense of railing against injustice, but also tenacious in pursuit of an alternative approach, an alternative society to the one that he had experienced growing up.
When I think of John Hume, I think of the Martin Luther King of Europe. John Hume advanced the Martin Luther King dream of a peaceful community, a peaceful world that embraced difference. And that's the first thing that comes into my mind when I think of John Hume.
His values are very close to my own upbringing. When I heard that he had been a founding member of the credit union movement, kind of like for us growing up in Cork in a terraced house, the credit union loan was what gave us our first kind of bathroom and extension. And when I first saw the story of John Hume, like to us, the credit union, to my parents anyway, was their bank. You know, that was the mother would religiously be up and down every Friday to the credit union, paying back loans throughout our childhood. And that sense of being rooted in a community is what Hume speaks to, I think.
So it was a politics of hope over fear. It was a politics of non-violence. It was a politics of great courage. And it was a politics that was very much grounded in people and doing your best for people, whether that was in your role as an elected representative in your constituency, setting up the credit unions in the way that he did, right through to his role as a political leader and showing immense leadership when it came to designing a peace process and everything that led us to the Good Friday Agreement. And I think now in an era of where you've politics defined by people like Donald Trump or Boris Johnson. It's really important that you reflect on the type of politics that John stood for, because that's the kind of politics that people deserve, and at this moment in time that's the kind of politics that people really need.
For me, I think the most important legacy Dad left is his message about respect for diversity. He was an extremely hospitable man, and I think he really felt the importance of a mixed society, of a multicultural society, in terms of enriching the place we live in. So for me, his key message is about welcoming and respecting people of all faiths, of all colours, of all ethnicities, of all types of sexuality, and I think that's really important, and a really important message for us all to live by.
John provided us with the platform. He set the vision. We have to do the work now to deliver. So let's set about every single day trying to raise people up out of poverty, bring communities together in a spirit of reconciliation, make sure we never again have war on this island. That's a huge job to do. I think it's one that we're fit for, but one we need to work at every single day. John's vision wasn't static. It was always moving, always thinking forward, always working for a better society. That's the challenge he set us. That's what we have to deliver.